I'm Linda Coles, and this is Tell Us a Story. Joining me today is Ruth Davy, the Executive Officer of the Gut Cancer Foundation of New Zealand. Ruth has more than 25 years' experience in the not-for-profit sector, and she is a trustee of the Well Women and Family Trust and as well as a mentor of the Ministry of Development. She's passionate about healthcare and has spent her entire career working towards creating positive change in New Zealand's health system. After first training and working as a nurse, Ruth went on to complete a Masters of Public Health, where she conducted research into reducing inequalities in cervical screening rates for Maori and Pacific women. This was done through a Well Women approach and a new holistic training program for primary care nurses. And Ruth's current focus lies in raising awareness of gut cancers, the deadliest form of cancer here in New Zealand. So welcome to the show, and here to talk more is Ruth Davy. Hello.
Hi, nice to see you, Linda.
Nice to see you. And I think when we first met, you were a fellow member of Newmarket Rotary and you were working in the diabetes. So you've obviously been in healthcare field for quite some time.
I have all of my working life and very happy to be so.
So what prompted you to go beyond nursing and into health administration?
I think, I've always been passionate about healthcare, and long term I've been really focused on reducing inequalities in health. The Cartwright Inquiry, which was how the group of nurses set up, so we set up to do mobile cervical screening in the community, and with that we became quite political and had an advocacy body to improve women's health in the New Zealand public health system and primary health care.
So this conversation, I'm sure we're going to talk, obviously it's going to be guts and bowels.
That's
and
right.
all sorts of icky things,
yes,
but things that we need to talk about. So if you're offended at all, anybody, we're going to be talking what goes on inside and probably the word poos.
We can't avoid it. And we used to talk poos with our toddlers all the time, which I have an 18-month-old, and we're always talking poos. But as we age, we actually need to talk about our poos again.
Even more. And I'm sure you'll be sharing some stories as we go along. So you've played a role in some prominent public health campaigns, including the drive to increase cervical screening rates. What difference do you think these public drives, what do they make? What do they sort of address at certain demographics?
I think, Maori and Pacific and Asian women in New Zealand, particularly for cervical screening and breast screening, they're really reluctant to come forward. And a Well Woman approach is what I put into a cervical screening training program for nurses. I researched this internationally at the time with my Masters in Public Health thesis, and it really was cultural competency training and making sure that nurses delivered the whole framework in their primary care, had champions for women's health, champions for cervical screening, champions for breast screening, and they made the environment really, safe. So basically, that's going really well. I'm still a trustee of that trust, and it's going from strength to strength. But I spent 22 years talking cervical smears, and now I felt I needed to change. And I suppose going into my older years, maybe I'm looking after myself, because gut cancer's 5,250 a year, and over half will die.
Wow.
It's way more common than breast and prostate combined, and over half will die in 5 years. And more, Maori and Pacific present much later for bowel cancer at hospitals, usually stage 3 and stage 4 with blockages of the bowel, and that came out with a research project recently, the Piper project, which was published. So we've got a huge job to do, and I'm the only staff member for the whole of New Zealand.
Ouch.
With the New Zealand Gut Cancer Foundation. We have the Bowel Cancer New Zealand, which is absolutely fantastic, but they primarily don't do research. They do advocacy and lobbying and awareness. So I've got a big job to do. So that's why we're doing programs that we are now. Absolutely love what I'm doing, and it's really exciting to be part of this journey and help set them up.
So as the not-for-profit organisations, have they changed much? Has the sector changed much since you sort of entered
in
it?
25 years, when we started off as Well Women and Family Trust, the government was really keen to fund organisations like us to give not-for-profits and primary, charities working with high-need communities funding. And that was fantastic. But then the primary healthcare PHOs were set up, which is a great model. Absolutely love it. But and Annette King at the time, when I questioned her at a forum, said, no, not-for-profits and NGOs won't be affected by this, because we had a fiscal tightening of the budget and financial crisis. So they didn't have enough money for everyone, and 90% of public health is delivered by charities and not-for-profits. So all of our budgets were cut severely. So we all had to, the charitable sector and health had to scramble around for money. A lot of organisations had to shut down as a result. So yes, everyone had to be more accountable for their money spent, but it has been tough. It's tougher for not-for-profits.
So now, obviously, you've worked your way through various health things. Like I mentioned at the very beginning, when I first met you, working in diabetes, and I think we'll probably just talk about that just at the end of how things are linked. But you've been drawn again now to oncology. So what cancers are included in what you do?
We say it's the top to the bottom of the bowel. Yeah, literally, it's a shitty business we talk about, the bottom. It's right from the esophagus, the stomach, the pancreas, the liver, the gallbladder. If I missed anything out, the small intestine, the large intestine, the rectum and the anus. So all those organs, 5,250 cancers a year. Bowel cancer under the age of 50, 14% increase every year, the highest rate of increase, and for pancreatic cancer. And that's all diet and lifestyle related.
So they're preventable, is that what you're saying?
Well, if they can be, it's a tricky one, it's a challenging one. I can't say totally prevented, but absolutely we can reduce the risk. But diet, we've got this high sugar, we're sitting around at computers, we're just not moving our gut around enough. We're not having the probiotics that we used to have naturally, the sauerkraut and the yogurts and the fermented food, and the fermented drinks. I think I remember as a child having fermented ginger beer that we made. All of those natural gut biomes that our grandmothers did for us, we just go to the shop and buy our drinks, and the more colourful they are, we seem to think they're better for us. Well, they're not. So we've got to go back to old-fashioned diets and old-fashioned eating and vegetables that are, green and red and more of those.
And I mean, diets comes back to so many things, doesn't it? And when I had breast cancer, one of the things he said to me, the oncologist, then was, it's you're healthy and you're slender. So that's is great for catching it in the first place, because if my boobs had been fattier, they probably would never have seen that tumour. And just because you live a healthy lifestyle, your recovery is going to be so much easier and quicker. And I can imagine that's the same for all sorts of things. And while we were on the cancer subject, we were talking about colon cancer, and he said, one of the things that we as New Zealanders love to eat is the burnt bits on the barbecue, the Crosley bits of meat, the burnt sausages.
The barbecue food is our killer.
Yes.
It really is, and we've got to cut down our red meat consumption. I mean, people who come to New Zealand come here and their risk of cancer just goes dramatically up. I think Neil Diamond put it best. I saw him on TV once saying, New Zealand, the blades of grass are bigger than nature itself. And I went, you're absolutely right, Neil. So our food is fattier, our meat is fattier, our eggs are fattier, our cheese is fattier. It all sounds wonderful. It tastes fantastic.
Yeah.
But it increases our risk of cancer.
Yeah.
Because of that. You've got to balance up the new sort of age thinking of having higher natural fat is good for you, but you really have to go back to the basics of cutting down your red meat, more fish, more vegetables, a little bit of couple of pieces of fruit a day, but it's the vegetables, more colourful they are. Broccoli is amazing. Everyone should have broccoli every day, broccoli and yogurt. In fact, you probably should mix it together, they say, and make a smoothie. And if you that is an anti-cancerogenic. It's been scientifically proven.
And I remember reading Lance Armstrong's book before he became infamous, after being famous, and when he was going through cancer, and he was eating copious amounts of broccoli every single day, broccoli, yogurt, broccoli, and that was all he ate.
We've got a gentleman who started the organisation, Paul Hargraves. He survived pancreatic cancer, 9 years. And his wife, Anne, she's one of our ambassadors, unfortunately died of a stroke a couple of years ago. But they opened and shut him up with pancreatic cancer. And they said, sorry, we don't know how long you've got. And usually people with pancreatic cancer die within 5 years, 95%. But so they went out and said, no, we're not accepting this. And they went on a survival sort of framework, and they got a book that was, and I've forgotten the name, and it's got Life Pathways. I'm pretty sure I'll remember as we move on during the session. And this chap has survived 5 cancers, and he talks about, positive mind frame, exercise, broccoli, fish oil again. That's big. And I know surgeons often say, fish oil to their patients is the one thing you should take if you've got a cancer. And exercise. And we know that people who exercise during treatment live longer and do better with their chemotherapy as well. So I know that people have to push themselves because it's not easy. But even just basic, walking, just to the power pole and back and getting out there and exercising and pushing themselves makes a big difference.
Huge. And it doesn't have to be exerting yourself too much going down the gym if that's not your bag. It can be going to Pilates, it can be going for a 6K walk or whatever, but at least you're doing something. So the survival rates, Sam, and you mentioned pancreatic cancer then, and so many people die with it, and I've heard that. I know people myself that have died from pancreatic cancer. Why is that why is it so hard to detect?
It's hard to find because the organ, it's actually protected in like a walnut shell. So when the cancer grows, it makes this fibrous shell that, and it is enclosed, so it's hard to find until it actually almost gets to being lethal. But there are early signs that people should look for, like within half an hour of eating something, if they get an severe abdominal pain or severe back pain, that is often can be linked to it. So you should never, any abnormal pain or any pain that wakes you up during the night, abdominal, back, you must ask for extra tests and get blood tests done for CA125 and markers for pancreatic cancer. It's on the increase. It's going to be the second leading cause of cancer deaths in New Zealand. It is nearly internationally in the future, and 14% increase a year of pancreatic cancer because of the high sugar diet and obesity epidemic. And we're going to get the generations coming through now are not going to live as long as yours and my generation.
And that's sad.
And the cancer rates. We talk obesity and diabetes, but we have to talk gut cancers.
So let's talk more about poos then, shall we?
Absolutely.
Let's get shitty on this. So it's not a conversation you might have with your partner. What does yours look like compared with mine? What are your, how's your movement? How do we sort of get to talk about it?
Well, I think, we've actually, if you go to our gutcancer.org.nz page, we've actually created a new resource on gut cancers, and you can look at under support and resources, and people can download our detailed book. And that booklet has all the symptoms of each of the different cancers.
Right.
So from the esophagus right down to the bowel. And each page has a website that's linked to it as well. Websites. Including that book, and from that Life Path chap, who I still can't remember his name. Anyone can help me. But anyway, that's all in this book, and how to support yourself, how to prevent cancer, what you should do for if you find you've got a cancer, what you can actually do for diet, lifestyle and exercise. It's a 32-page book we've designed for people, for prevention and early diagnosis as well as management.
Because it's not something people necessarily feel comfortable going to the doctors about, because they think, they're going to examine me, and that can't be very nice. But I don't want to, tell them about such.
It.
Yeah. And she'll be right. It'll go away. It's just, a little gremlin or whatever. And I've been through that part myself. I've had the top and tail, as they call it, a camera in the top and a camera in the bottom. And it's not that evasive, really. It's not pleasant, but you're under gas anyway. So and I don't remember a thing of it.
They have even got the coming into modern medicine is amazing. I mean, 30 years ago, lucky if we survived. I mean, my great aunt died in her 40s of bowel cancer. I myself have had pre-cancer, in my 40s, and because of that, because if you've got a family member, that's the first thing you have to remember: genetics. So when I got some grumblings, I thought I'll have a colonoscopy. Demanded it. Fine, nothing there. 3 years later, massive, flat, large polyps. Had they not insisted on having that done, I would have been bowel cancer very quickly.
So polyps are a pre.
They're pre,
right.
and the flatter they are, the more dangerous they are.
Okay.
So I'm sitting here as a testimony to modern medicine, but they are developing, and is here already, that capsule you can swallow, because we have to remember that has a camera in it that takes pictures all the way down the gut. You have to remember that upper GI cancers, it's only a 20% survival rate over 5 years. That's esophagus and stomach.
Right.
So, and they often happen, we don't know about them until later on. So they're tough. And people who have commonly got reflux or stomach problems, you have to be on the ball and talking to your doctor about getting screened for it.
Okay. Because I also had these, you got the colonoscopy and then you got the colonography. Is that? I'm not sure if that's the correct terminology, which is...
that's not right. I don't know where that came from.
They blow air inside you and put you in like an MRI scanning machine. So they don't send anything up.
Right.
They scan you, but they blow air in.
That's a test. I mean, I'm a nurse, so I haven't heard of that one, but that sounds ugly, actually. But
It was weird.
It was weird. There's all sorts of ways of screening and checking for everything. MRIs obviously are fantastic, but they are not cheap.
No.
So, colonoscopy is much easier to have. I mean, the bowel screening program now is fantastic, and that's being rolled out nationally, and that's going to really make a difference for picking up bowel cancer earlier. However, saying that, it's not for, they're not doing it for under 60 years of age. So, we've got to be, if you've got a family history of it, you should be having that screening 10 years before that onset.
Okay.
Now, one of our ladies, Elaine, who has had pancreatic cancer, all her family had breast cancer, a lot of them, 8 of them. And breast cancer and pancreatic cancer are common as a linkage between genetics.
Right.
So if you've got a strong family history of breast cancer, you have to be aware of pancreatic. Don't automatically think you're going to get it, but, it is there
Just
in
be
the
aware.
family. That's a genetic factor. That's the BRCA gene. So then, and I've lost my train of thought. Oh, here we go. Pancreatic cancer is genetic. Oh, she had a relative whose nephew in his 40s, 47, 4 children, diagnosed bowel cancer, terminal. Absolutely tragic. Again, genetics in the family. Obviously, it's quite strong cancer genes. So you have to be aware. And these age groups in their 40s, they're leading busy lives. They probably do have symptoms, but just want to put it aside.
Ignore them. So much easier and hope it goes away, isn't it?
Yeah, well, my chairperson, Grant Baker, he was 42 below founder. He's an amazing man, but his father, just buried his father with bowel cancer, and he got stomach pains, didn't do anything about it.
Right.
Finally, doctor said, you're going to have a colonoscopy. He had stage 3 bowel cancer. Now, his nephew has just been diagnosed with 35 with massive polyps. So it's in the family.
And it's all ages as well.
It's all ages. We just lost a 28-year-old last week who was one of our Love Your Guts champions. Her story is on our gutcancer.org.nz website, and she helped raise a couple of $1,000s for us last year. She was diagnosed 26 and told she had a couple of years to live, and she just with severe abdominal pain. And Laura tragically passed away last Thursday, and just vibrant, beautiful, intelligent, gone too soon. And no one thought bowel cancer. No one even thought about it. I know of a 14-year-old that's been diagnosed.
And you sort of think abdominal pain that age, it's probably endometriosis, could be just
anything
period.
Else, absolutely.
All sorts of things.
Yeah, it was bowel cancer. So we are getting younger. We're wanting to, we fund clinical research with gut cancer. That's our job, primary job, and raise awareness. And we need more research in New Zealand. At the moment we're struggling. So we're doing our big fundraising campaign to get raise awareness, but also to raise vital funds to fund this clinical research. One of our ones that were just funded was with Rachel Purcell, and she's doing gut biome research, and I just love this one. And she has found 300 patients with a bowel cancer, a same type of gut biome for all of them.
Oh.
Now that's coming out. You're hearing it first through Linda Coles. It's coming out in the media in a couple of weeks' time. Okay, so breaking news, everyone. you're going to probably be diagnosed with a poo sample to say, oh, you've got the risk factor for this bowel cancer. You need to take this gut biome bacteria, a poo pill now, and that will maybe help stop you getting it.
Wow. Well, that's a huge
This is the sort of
forward.
stuff we're working on in New Zealand. This is the sort of stuff we're funding. And it's literally number 8 wire mentality. You know, we're funding with, $50,000, $100,000. We're not talking millions of dollars, but what outcomes we can get as an organisation with our amazing researchers, and we keep them in New Zealand. We don't send them to Australia to get jobs because we can't fund them.
No. So tell us about this campaign that you've got starting. When's that? April?
Oh, well, it really has started, but it's April the 1st, the big kick-off, because that's National Gastrointestinal Cancer Month, International.
Right.
Not many people know about it.
No.
Here we go again. No one wants to know about poos or stomach problems. But we've got to start talking it. So love your guts. Love your, Y-E-R.
Y-E-R, yes.
Your guts. .co.nz is our website. We're asking people to do 50 gut crunches in 5 minutes. Now that's sit-ups. People say, what the heck is a gut crunch? Sit-ups. But there are different types, and we've got Richard Ellis, who's a great coach, showing pictures of different types. But I did, in my mother's rest home, 50 gut crunches in front of all the 90-year-olds who cheered me on and clapped me on. And I was laughing so much, I didn't think I was going to finish. But I did my 50 gut crunches, and I raised $1,000. The easiest fundraising thing I've ever done, because I just sent it out there. Everyone knew someone. It could be someone, it could be me, it could be someone you love, or it could be you who could have it or could get it. So as a result, I got money from all sorts of people. And I normally, when I do round the bay, lucky if I get $400. Well, I got $1,000. Laura, lovely Laura who died, got $2,000. I thought she should have got 5 actually, because she had such a compelling story. But, that was still amazing. But we've got a web page that you set yourself up. It's Everyday Hero page. You tell your story, you email people, you ask them to fundraise for you. Then we've got lots of prizes. I've got $7,000 of prizes in this campaign.
Gets better.
Yeah, I know. The people who earn the most funds for us get a trip for 4 to Samoa for 5 nights, staying at the Return to Paradise. And I can tell you, it's pretty damned awesome there. I've been there. It's fantastic. It's just out of Apia. $1,000 towards airfares. Can't quite afford your airfares. Air New Zealand want to come behind us? We'd love you to do it. And that's valued at just under $5,000, and that's all been donated. And the weirdest gut crunches, we've got a prize for that.
The weirdest
place, weirdest type, weirdest anything gut crunches. We had a team last time from Emergent Recruiters. They actually did it in the lift, gut crunches that is, on the board table, on the reception area, and they did a video. They all dressed up in the 70s. It's on our Facebook site. Honestly, I haven't laughed so much. Love Your Guts Facebook. And they were amazing. So, anything like that, think of something different. And the most gut crunches in 5 minutes. So if 50 isn't enough, try and do 500. Some people can actually do.
Sure.
I know, some people can do in 5 minutes. And you win $500 dining experience anywhere in New Zealand. We send the money off to, whichever restaurant you want. And that's been sponsored as well. Les Mills have given us 6 months memberships. We've got Arbonne sort of products for a face and healthy eating, healthy supplements. We've got all sorts of amazing prizes for people. So
you mentioned Air New Zealand there.
Yes.
That would be great if they came on board. There's a big plug here if anybody's listening. Yeah. Anybody else that you might need? Anyone at the top of your head?
Well, we always could do with corporates. Anyone who knows a corporate that will get them behind. September did this, and I've based this model on September. Now, this is gut crunches. They're raising $1 million a year with their September. We need to raise. We're only asking for 50 to 100,000. So we get more corporates behind us.
Yeah, small change.
It'll grow. A small change. But we need whole groups. And you can make it a really fun team building exercise. I can tell you. Me in the rest home with the 10 elderly people laughing at me was hilarious for them, not so much for me. But I did it. And the raise money and awareness. So every time you put your website out there, you talk about the the fact that there's 5,250 people.
Yeah.
So we're raising awareness, we're leading people to our website, and hopefully if we save one life, isn't it great?
Yes, it is. It is. It is indeed. Well, I think we can all do 50 gut crunches, can't we?
Well, I actually do mine with the weights in my hand. I cheat a bit, but who cares? It still works.
So in an ideal world, what kind of public health support around awareness and prevention and treatment would you like to see?
Oh, I think this 10-year national cancer, program that we're needing desperately, we just haven't got it. And considering, cancer is a big cause of death in New Zealand, and it's going to get bigger, especially with obesity and diabetes.
Yeah.
So I would like to see obesity, diabetes people talking more about the gut cancers as well.
Yeah.
So more coordination, more collaboration, and us being smarter with the spend of the dollars. Health Research Council have been great with funding some great programs for breast cancer. I applaud them for that, but can they fund something for us too? But
don't forget,
that's my job and our job to do. But I can only do it if we get enough funds. I need more staff. I need researching assistants. I need, media people. I need fundraising people. At the moment, I do everything. So, I could do with some volunteers as well, actually, to do some phoning and some media work for me. So if anyone wants to do any pro bono work for me, I'm absolutely delighted.
Donations greatly received.
Donations of any kind. So gutcancer.org.nz or info@gutcancer.org.nz is my email.
Okay. Well, let's get on to it. Well, my one last question to you would be, what would be your one piece of advice, your personal piece of advice, whether it's life, love, anything, doesn't have to be to do with your career, your job. It can just be, that thing that you go by. What is it?
Well, I mean, if you don't love what you do and are passionate about what you do, don't, change.
Yeah.
Change, find something else. And I am absolutely so privileged to have been involved in healthcare like this. I loved my nursing, but it didn't fulfil me enough. I always wanted to do something else. I'm still passionate about nursing, and I'm helping Perpetual Guardian at the moment to set up a nursing fund for nurses to be funded for their training in the future. So we're looking at working on that. And I'm really excited about that because I was sponsored by Counties Manukau DHB. I was a single parent at the time. I wouldn't be here today if I didn't get funding for that. So for me, it's there's a lot of capacity building we need to do in the healthcare system, and primary healthcare, nursing organisation, public health, cancer research, we've got a huge job to do. Don't forget the not-for-profits. Please do support us. I know we come cap in hand a lot, and you might think, oh gosh, here they are asking for more money. But I can tell you now, we're the ones who'll be picking you up and saving your life. Thank you, Ruth.
So just tell us again that web address and where you can get the book.
Okay, www.gutcancer.org.nz. I have remembered the name. It's Phil Kerslack's book. And he has survived 5 cancers. He survived it with chemotherapy and medical treatment. And we must remember that has worked and been scientifically proven. And that's what our research is about. So you need to, but he talks about other lifestyle factors which all help improve survival. And if you go to support and resources, the book is in that section.
Okay, so everyone go get the book
booklet.
And then
you can download it from online.
Okay.
Or you can order it through me and I'll send you out copies.
Okay, and that'll give you the first sort of steps, if you like, of awareness. Then go see your doctor.
Websites, help.
But don't leave it. She won't necessarily all be right.
No.
Thank you, Ruth, for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Linda. It's fantastic to see you again.
And you. You've been listening to Tell Us a Story. Why not subscribe or rate us next time you're on iTunes?